A while back, we did the top 10 Valorant players of 2020, and many of y'all said that we missed quite a few players, especially players that eked into 2021. So in this video, we're going to go over part 2. What are the best players back then, and where are they now? Are they still the top of the top in the pro scene, or have they fallen a bit flat? We're going to break it all down, starting off with FNS. Now, originally, IGL for the original NV roster turned Optic Gaming. They won Masters in Iceland alongside 3 other top 3 finishes at international events. When franchise started, FNS joined NRG, a roster that was supposed to be a super team. Although they had a decent season, it did not meet the roster's expectations. Now these days, FNS has turned to streaming full time, but has made it very clear he will come back and dominate the competition. And with FNS known for having an incredibly big brain when it comes to game sense in Valorant, I wouldn't put it past him. Don't sleep on FNS. Now, speaking of not sleeping, you need to not sleep on SkillCapped.com. If you've been struggling and you really want to improve, SkillCapped is the only place that you get a money-back guarantee on your improvement. So if you don't climb, you don't pay. It's literally risk-free. All you got to do is sign up and you will completely dominate your games. We are so confident that we will help you with our in-depth guides, warm-up guides, mechanical guides, tips and tricks, and things that will improve your game sense, everything that you need to climb, and it's literally risk-free. So check it out right now down below. Now, next up, we got to talk about a dynamic duo, Viktor and Crashies. Before, they were another core part of the original NV roster turned Optic Gaming. These two were arguably the best duo in Valorant at the time. Now, unlike FNS, after the 2023 season, Vic and Crashies stayed under NRG. NRG created a new super team, bringing in another ex-Optic member named Marv and 2 reigning world champions, Demon 1 and Ethan. Many people are expecting this roster to be top dogs, but they did fall short in qualifying for the first major in Madrid, but I wouldn't sleep on them because they have been performing incredibly well in spite of that, and they are still a team that has tons of freaking potential. The next up, we do got to talk about the El Diablo himself, Yade. Now, we can't mention the entire Optic roster without talking about Yade himself, and he was the freaking GOAT in 2022, and he dominated in chamber meta. Now, after leaving Cloud9 at the beginning of 2023, Yade famously joined DSG, or created by Disguised Toast, a famous streamer. Now, under DSG, Yade played in the Tier 2 Challengers League and had pretty much the worst season possible, unfortunately, due to a lot of factors, including chamber getting nerfed and being on an unfamiliar roster. It just unfortunately wasn't his season. Now, in 2024, Yade finds himself on Bleed Esports Apex Ascension winners. Bleed did have a rough start to the season, getting knocked out in groups of the kickoff tournament, and fans were surprised and furious to see Yade on agents like Viper, which seems uncharacteristic for Yade being an insane aimer and insane fragger. From the outside looking in, it seems that putting Yade on Viper is not allowing him to play to his potential, but you let us know down below how you feel about Yade's performance and Bleed Esports as a whole. Now, Bleed has made 2 roster changes and are looking to turn it around for the regular season matches. With someone as talented as Yade on their team and a lot of optimism, we'll see how they do. The next up, we definitely have to talk about Drone. Now, in the past, Drone was part of the famous TSM roster alongside Wardell and Sub Rosa as an absolute insane Phoenix. Drone was the Phoenix guy, and he was single-handedly carrying TSM through many tough rounds by popping off on this duelist. Now, it's been quite some time since then, and since TSM fell, Drone has been playing in Tier 2. He had a rough season with Mad Lions in 2023, a Tier 2 team, but has recently qualified in the Challengers League again with his new team, the Glazers. So definitely keep an eye on Drone. We know what he's done in the past, so it would be really silly to not believe that he still has a ton of fire left in the tank. Next up, we got to talk about Mixw, and unlike a lot of players that came over from Counter-Strike that maybe didn't perform that well in Counter-Strike, Mixw was dominant in Counter-Strike. He was an incredibly good player, and he had a ton of hype moving over to Valorant. Mixw has consistently been one of the most hyped up players in Europe and originally played for G2, and although they had some solid runs, they were never able to take home an event. Now, Mixw joined Team Heretics for 2023, and they had an extremely disappointing season, only winning 2 matches. And after 2023, Mixw retired from competing and moved into content creation, but he's still an absolute beast, and you can check him out on his stream. The next up, up, we do gotta talk about Scream, and Scream has been one of the most hyped players in Valorant's history. He was known as an absolute demon in Counter-Strike, and he brought that into Valorant with his crazy one-taps, and Scream was always a really solid player in Valorant. Up until Franchise League, he played under Team Liquid, and although they had some solid results in international events, they never won anything big. Now fast forward, and Scream joined Carmine Corp in 2023, and this was another team that had a terrible season, unfortunately. But in 2024, Scream's future is unknown, and he's currently an inactive member still under Carmine Corp. He does stream occasionally, but I really do hope that Scream returns to the big stage. We all know his potential, as almost every team he's been on, he's been consistently overperforming, and I do want to see him pop off again with those freaking crisp one-taps. Next up, we do gotta talk about Leaf, and Leaf's first big roster was Cloud9, and he joined towards the end of C9 Tens and Friends roster back when C9 couldn't win a game, even though Tens was pretty much the best player in the world at the time. Now, Leaf and C9 won NA's last chance qualifiers in 2021, but ended top 8 in champs. Leaf stuck with C9 all the way to 2023 and in the first year of Franchise League. But fast forward to today, and C9 had a rough year in 2023, and Leaf now finds himself replacing Tex on G2's new roster, formerly known as the Guard. Now, although G2 haven't proven themselves on the big stage, they are a very promising team going into 2024, and Leaf always showed tons of potential, even in spite of the various rosters failings that he's been on. Now next up, we do gotta talk about Artis, Valorant's biggest jokester. Now Artis bounced around rosters at the beginning of Valorant, but eventually found himself on FPX. FPX was one of the top teams in 2022, winning Masters Copenhagen with Artis as their main jet/chamber player. Now Artis famously came to NA to play with NRG for the 2023 season, but as we all know, the team didn't work out. Going into 2024, Artis finds himself back with the exact same FPX roster that won Copenhagen, this time under Na'Vi. Now next up, we got to talk about actually a whole team, the Vision Strikers original roster. Back in the day, Vision Strikers were Korean's top dogs, famously going on an over 100 win streak in official matches, which is why we can't talk about just one player. They just completely steamrolled the entire region. Vision Strikers became DRX and were always favored to win a major, but every single time they would barely fall short, barely miss that finals, or barely miss that win. Fast forward to today, Mako, Buzz, and Stax from the OG roster are still playing under DRX. Zest has recently announced he's joining Bleed alongside Yade to potentially strengthen that roster, and RB is playing under the Titan Esports Club in the brand new Chinese Franchise League. While franchising is super exciting because it brings players and teams together that never would intermingle, it is sad that teams that had so much synergy and was so dominant do get broken apart just like DRX did, although still 3 of them remain. The last but certainly not least, we do gotta talk about Saucy. Saucy originally played for Loud, dominating literally everyone in Brazil. Under Loud, Saucy won Valorant Champions 2022. Saucy has always been known for his incredible Sova, but fast forward to today, Saucy surprisingly joined Sentinels in 2023, and although they had a rough season, things are looking up for 2024. Sen has qualified to Masters Madrid and came first place in the Americas Kickoff Tournament, and Saucy and Sentinels are looking like the favorites to potentially even win Masters Madrid, which is absolutely nuts, and it really establishes Saucy's dominance as someone that is not only amazing as a player, but very flexible under different rosters and can still be the one that brings his team victories after victories, making him a very valuable player going into the future. Now, we did a part 1 and part 2, but I still know there's a lot of players that we missed, so let us know down below which ones you think we missed and if we should do a part 3. Let us know down below. Alright though guys, before we wrap this up, let me tell you a little bit more about SkillCapped. So we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that. Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really works. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium Valorant guides on the internet. We add new courses every month with over 1,000 guides curated into 50 courses no one can compare. We also have a direct line of communication with subscribers in our Discord so that you can get connected immediately to some of the best players in the game who will respond to any and all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So that's going to be all for this one today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.